with the practical knowledge, because you all know in school, you don't always get a whole lot of practical
Right.
knowledge and how to put it into place.
So your background, and I'm sorry if you're going to go over this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over just a little bit, like, for the group, but I have a master's in exercise phys.
Okay, exercise phys.
Yeah. And I've been doing this kind of thing for about 35 years. Still going strong.
Wow, you look young.
Oh, thank you.
I don't show my picture.
I hit the 63 mark last month.
Oh
so
my
it's kind
goodness.
of like,
I was thinking 20s, honestly.
oh, you're so sweet.
Wow.
Usually my husband says that, but I think he's looking for something in return. So thank you.
But
I have 2 daughters who are in their late 30s. They live in New York and Connecticut, and I have 4 grandchildren, and 2 of them are coming to visit me next week in Alabama, and they have not been here for about 3 years because they were due to come when COVID started, and this is the first chance I'm going to get to have them down here in Alabama with me.
I'm glad for people, because it's been a long time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And family, yeah.
Mhm.
That's nice. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we get a lot of good questions, and
I hope so. And like I said, I want to try to get through the Lakeshore thing, and I want to really talk about our experience and history with developing virtual fitness and open it up for questions.
okay. Well, thank you for doing this. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is more fun than sitting in on a strategic planning meeting.
I agree. I miss sitting around a table and just brainstorming and talking about things, because there's an energy exchange that you just don't get in the same way.
Yeah, it is. And I've spent so many days in my life in the past couple of years talking about masks and social distancing and limiting numbers of people in classes. And I've been called the mask police around here because, I always say, please cover your nose. I like your nose, but please cover that.
Where I am the most grateful for masks is on the airplane.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I travel a lot, and I just think, oh, this is the best invention ever when it comes to being in a tiny little space with a lot of people.
Yeah, and then sometimes you look around and there's somebody next to you, and they make believe like they're taking a drink for 45 minutes. You're like, come on, take a sip and put the mask back up.
When's that thirsty?
You're not fooling anybody on this plane.
Oh, well, it's 12:30, so we'll get started, and I'll say good morning to those who are out west, and good afternoon for those of us on the East Coast. This is American Kinesiotherapy Association's webinar series, and we are thrilled to have Carol Kutik. She's the Director of Fitness and Health Promotion at the Lakeshore Foundation. And also a little housekeeping, if you are joining us, if you'll just put your name into the chat, and then we will make sure to send out certifications for CEUs for being here. If you have not received your certification from a previous webinar that you've been on, you can send an email to us, contact us, and we can take care of that. You can always email info@akta.org, or you can contact Bridget at ccbkt@aol.com. We will also have these up on the website with a little form to fill out so that we know that you've watched it, and we are thrilled to be able to repeat these and have other opportunities for you to get all this amazing information. This is my favorite series. Bridget does an amazing job putting this together. And Carol, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to hear more about Lakeshore Foundation, especially being the home of USA Rugby and USOPC training site. Like, that's so cool. And it's really amazing to see all the really cool ways that you can be in the medical fitness industry, and really have broad reaching opportunities. So thanks so much for being here, and I'll pass it over to you.
My pleasure. Welcome, everyone. And thank you, Bridget, for reaching out and asking me to be a part of this. This is the kind of thing that I just love to do. I want to spend the first little bit sharing Lakeshore Foundation with you. And then we'll get to the really topic of this is virtual fitness. And I will share with you our experience here at Lakeshore and how we got to that. A little bit about me. I have been doing this kind of thing for about 35 years. I've been with Lakeshore for 14. I have a master's in exercise phys, and really just a lot of my job has to do with programming and overseeing the fitness center. We are a 126,000 square foot facility, 6,000 square feet in fitness. I have 7 full-time fitness specialists, several part-time instructors, and really try to keep everybody happy and give everybody what they need so that we can provide the best program that we can. So let me go ahead and share with you what happens here at Lakeshore. So we are an opportunity for people with physical disabilities or chronic health conditions to lead healthy, active lifestyles, independent through our 3 pillars, which are first, physical activity, research, and advocacy and health promotion. And I'll go into each one of those a little bit. I want to show you, though, there's really cool, it's a very short video.
What is Lakeshore? What is Lakeshore? What is Lakeshore? What is Lakeshore? Lakeshore is nothing short of amazing. Lakeshore helps people achieve their independence. Lakeshore is
one of a kind.
Lakeshore is a place where my husband, who has a spinal cord injury, and I can work out together. Lakeshore is inclusion. It's all about ability. Lakeshore is activity.
Lakeshore is
wheelchair sports,
family,
opportunity.
international.
Lakeshore is a place of healing.
Companionship.
Walking, basketball.
Lakeshore is racehorses.
Lakeshore is a great place to work. A place where Paralympians train to reach their dreams.
Lakeshore is gas.
Lakeshore is a place.
Lakeshore is my life.
Lakeshore is the best thing that's happened to our community. Lakeshore is advocacy. Lakeshore is. What is Lakeshore?
What is Lakeshore? Lakeshore is helping people get to that next level.
Lakeshore is the art of play. Lakeshore is a way to stay active. Lakeshore is a place where injured service members can come to discover new ways to enjoy life again.
Lakeshore is a lifesaver. Lakeshore is family, and it's family of choice.
Lakeshore is activity, research, and advocacy.
What is Lakeshore? Lakeshore is living.
I hope you enjoyed that. It just really gives you a good picture of a visual of what happens here on a daily. Now, that was filmed pre-COVID, but a lot of that still happens. I'm going to skip this slide because I don't want it to take it. This is really the history of Lakeshore, but quickly in summarizing, we started out as a rehabilitation hospital, actually a tuberculosis sanatorium, and we have grown to where we are today. The building we're in was opened in 2001. 2003, we became an official U.S. Olympic and Paralympic training site. And in 2012, we entered into a collaborative with the UAB, which is the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And that's when I think, Bridget, you mentioned meeting Dr. Rimmer in Chicago, and Nick Pad used to be in Chicago. When he moved down here to be the director of the collaborative, he brought Nick Pad along with him, and Nick Pad actually is housed within our Lakeshore campus. So we get to have them joining us. So here's our facility. We have a field house, which has 3 hardwood courts, a 200-meter, which is 8 laps to a mile indoor track, which is a Mondo rubberized surface. We've got a 6,000 square foot fitness center, a group exercise room, 2 indoor pools. So they're indoor, covered all year round. One is what we call our therapy pool, even though we don't do therapy, but it is the warmer pool that is 94 degrees. And we have a lap pool, which is about 83 or 84 degrees. We've got a climbing wall, a shooting range. That's not live ammo, but I forget, I don't go in there. I'm not much of a shooter, but it's like, whatever. We have a research lab. We've got dormitories for training site, and we have cottages. So throughout the year, we have teams coming in here from all over the world. If you enter into our field house, I think there's a picture here with some just a few of the flags, but there are 30 or 40 flags up there which represent teams that have been here from throughout the world. And they're here for a variety of reasons. They might be here for a training camp for rugby. They might be here for a tournament. We are the home of USA Wheelchair Rugby, so they train here. They actually left for Tokyo last year. From here, they spent two weeks here in a bubble because of COVID restrictions, and trained and got ready and left from our campus to go over to Tokyo. And then we have cottages that were built. You'll see this first picture here on the left, and that's where we house some of our athletes that come in throughout the year, and also some of our military camps, which I'll get to in just a little bit. We have, so the new facility, which is a 17,000 square foot addition that was finished in late 2019. And it was really built to accommodate all the growth in research in our UAB collaborative. It has a nutrition lab, which you see this first picture here. It's the most amazing kitchen I've ever seen. It's got cameras up from above, so we can have cooking classes. The several of the countertops can be raised or lowered so that we can accommodate our individuals that use wheelchairs. We have this second picture, or we have 5 telehealth suites so that we can provide that virtual telehealth coaching. And a lot of that is mainly for our research and our collaborative. We've got an innovation lab where we, just an engineer creates some different, someone might say, I need this to go on my wheelchair and it doesn't exist. Well, he just might create that. And then we have a specific group exercise room. We have a mindfulness room, office space. And unfortunately, it was open right before COVID, and it sat vacant for a long time because a lot of that staff continued to work remotely. Whereas the staff that came back were more of our programmers who are in this main building. So our activity includes our aquatics department, fitness, recreation, athletics. Again, that Olympic and Paralympic training site. We have just athletes coming from around the world. Lemur Foxtrot is our program that we introduced for injured military from around the world, the country, to come and participate in adaptive and recreation camps. Depending on the year, we'll have somewhere between 7 and 9 different camps that will have different focuses. Like one might be totally for our visually impaired injured military. One would be to be introduced to Paralympic sports. One might be to Operation Endurance. So there's just different focuses throughout the camp, and we are able to fund and bring those athletes here and pay for their trip and their stay here so that they can experience everything that we have to offer, which even includes time out at the lake, doing adaptive skiing, water skiing, and kayaking, judo, you got it. Our research department, together with the UAB Lakeshore Collaborative, really evaluates new programs and does a lot of research in disability. There's a lot of research been going on for decades about exercise science, but not so much that is really devoted to individuals with physical disabilities. So they do testing on a lot of our teams. We may have rugby teams coming in for a training camp, and they'll do some testing with them and collect some data, write some papers, and really share that with the world, because it's really an amazing part of our pyramid here. And then our advocacy and policy teams really is very much involved in all things advocacy and policy, not only on the community level, the local level, but on the national level. And a lot of our advocacy and policy team are, regularly visit DC, visit different areas of the world and the country to introduce initiatives and really do their best to promote inclusion, education about inclusion, and access and equal representation for our individuals with disability. NCPAD, which I think you've had some presentations from before, is the National Center on Health, Physical Disability, and they are housed here at Lakeshore, as I mentioned earlier, They were originally in Chicago and moved down here with Dr. Rimmer when he became our director of the Research Collaborative. If you haven't had a chance to get on their website, it's nicpad.org. There's just a wealth of knowledge and just different resources there, videos or links, to where can you find inclusive recreational opportunities, inclusive trails. I encourage you to really explore their website. We work a lot with them. My fitness team works with NICPAD. We are right now in the process of developing some different videos, different inclusive workout videos. And when we get to Lakeshore Online Fitness, we'll tell you that we're able to not only put them on the NICPAD site, which they have a YouTube channel, but also include those in our Lakeshore Online Fitness. All right, so we get to Lakeshore Online Fitness, and I'll just tell you a little story about how we got started. So, we've been talking about developing virtual memberships, programming for years. So in March of 2020, when we all shut down, we all of a sudden said, uh-oh, it's time, we better do this. But we really didn't have any experience in it. And we learned by the seat of our pants. I remember the first thing we ever did is communications sent over an iPad and a tripod, and we set it up in my living room. And my husband, he did the camera and the iPad because it was COVID and we couldn't really be around anybody. And we went through different iterations of that, of how to provide programming very virtually. So like from my house or someone else's house. And we went through different platforms. We first started with GoToWebinar. That had its issues. You can imagine a lot of our members are older adults. And, they had never heard of Zoom. I don't think I'd ever heard of Zoom before that. They, not really technologically savvy. So we had to figure out how to provide support for all of our individuals to even get them signed up for some of this, or to view it or turn their camera on. It was quite an interesting time. So we then we came back after about 6 weeks. We came back into the building and we started doing some live Zoom classes from one of the telehealth suites upstairs in the new building. And that had its issues. The camera wasn't in the right place. The sound wasn't good. The light wasn't good. But we little by little learned some more. And then we began, one of the research groups is called RecTech, and they had planned on doing a collaborative intervention with our fitness team, which was about really putting together different programs for individuals with different disability that could then be disseminated. That was going to be an in-person thing. And then RecTech had this grant and said, well, we can't do that. So let's see what we can do virtually. So we worked for a while about how do we provide some version of what it is that their grant contained and do it in a virtual way. But the first thing we really needed was a new platform, because we had been using Zoom, and we had been sending Zoom links to our members. That also, there was really no way to keep those Zoom links from only being used by our members. And we wanted to make this a real benefit for our members. So the RecTech and their Precise grant, they developed this platform, which was able to separate our in-person programming with our virtual programming, and able to sign people up so that people would have actually become a member of Lakeshore Online Fitness. And that would be only available to our members. But they also were able to infuse their research component. So individuals that joined for up for Lakeshore Online Fitness could opt in to the research component, which was they got a little bit more in terms of coaching, and they also got a little bit more in terms of tracking, and as of course the whole incentive thing, because people love to be incentivized to participate in a lot of these activities. So hence the Lakeshore Online Fitness, and I'll keep going on about some of the struggles that we've had with that. Am I talking too fast? All right. Good.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay. I am from New York, so I got to come sometimes I have to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So again, Lakeshore Online Fitness this is how we promoted it. It's free to our members. You can register and attend weekly online fitness classes from home or on the go. We also began to include a library of on-demand classes, which we have little by little recorded some classes and put them on the platform. And again, you could earn incentives by participating in their research component of Lakeshore Online Fitness. I think they just completed their first 8-week intervention with some of the research participants, and it seemed to go really well. All right, so as I mentioned, we encountered a lot of obstacles along the way, and we have landed on using Zoom, just like a lot of the world is, to provide our live stream classes. We have a dedicated space. Finally, we have taken over a beautiful mindfulness room up in the new wing, and we have a camera set up in there. And so we're able to provide that live stream, and the Lakeshore Online Fitness platform provides us with the ability for our members to register for those classes. Again, there's some things that you need to be aware of if you are planning on doing any kind of virtual exercise, and that is, virtual programming looks different than in person. And here's a couple of things that we've experienced. And that, first of all, virtual in itself takes away the ability to have members or participants in front of you. And, everything we do, every class we provide is modified and adapted based on who is in the class. An instructor might see that someone is struggling with this, so they'll give some general adaptations and instructions on how to, accommodate that. What happens is when you have people on a screen, you can see their face. You can't see their bodies. It's difficult to really follow how they're doing with their exercise and make the modifications other than very general, like, okay, well, this can be done sitting or it can be done standing. Then you also have a lot of people who really don't want to have their camera on because they don't want you to see them. And so again, you don't have the ability to communicate with them. There's that whole tech support. We still have members who have difficulty signing in. So we have when we have a Zoom class going on, we have the instructor instructing the class, but we have another staff member who is actually running the Zoom class, just like, Lisa, you're doing here, in case there are technical difficulties in signing in, or, Zoom just goes a little haywire every once in a while. So those are the things that come up, and then the whole live stream, hybrid, recorded. Our experience with the hybrid, when we first began, we were streaming classes with a limited amount of in-person participants. And that became really challenging because, as I mentioned, you may program a little differently based on whether people are in front of you or they're on a camera. And it was hard to program or really direct for one group with another group at the same time. So we stopped doing that. And then, the recorded ones, here's the things that happen. Well, here's the things that happen with all of it. We got to talk about music. So music licensing is a complicated little thing. And as most of you probably know, if you are providing music within your facility, you have to pay ASCAP and BMI fees, which allows you to use music like Spotify, anything you find on, iTunes, and with those licenses, you can play that music in your facility. When you start getting into the virtual world, that really changes. You cannot play that music when you live stream or when you record. So luckily, some of the music companies that you may purchase some of your music from for exercise, like playlists, things like Muscle Mixes, Yes to Go, they quickly pivoted and made some live stream only, which is royalty-free music, available so that you can use those live stream in your Zoom presentation. Now, if you choose not to do that, if Zoom figures out that you're using just ASCAP Spotify, they can shut down your whole, your everything, especially if you put that on YouTube, they can shut you down or they can fine you. So we have figured out a way how to deal with that. Although, your music variety is certainly not going to be the same. And not every class needs music. Not every balance class needs music. But if you're doing something that has some kind of like a silver sneakers or and you can't do silver sneakers, by the way, because they do their own stuff really well, I might mention. So there are some classes that involve some kind of choreography, nothing complicated. Maybe you're just marching in place or doing heel kicks. And it's nice to have that music behind you. So the live stream music, there's not as much available out there. And then you go to recorded. So let's say we want to record a live stream class and then put it in our on-demand library. That's another whole set of music. And that is not even the live stream music, but you have to purchase specific music licenses or apps for music that can be recorded. So it's, I just, I always kind of knew a little bit about it, but I have really spent a lot of time in that world of making sure that we are really up to date on when we have any kind of music involved in our live stream or recorded classes. Some other things to consider are things like, the camera. Now it depends on, what's important. There's a great website out there. It's called Kakana. I don't know if any of you have seen that. And they provide really good programming. And a lot of times they're doing it from somebody's bedroom. They're using it either an iPhone or an iPad. It looks great. We try to do something a little bit more in terms of resolution and quality in our programming. So we've just ordered a whole new system, a whole new camera and microphone system, so that when we are ready to record those classes for on demand, they're going to be of a higher quality than the camera that we've been using. So that's important to think about. What kind of equipment you have, or what would you use to provide the type of presentation that you're happy with. Again, you need that quiet space. Interaction, as I mentioned earlier, is a little difficult online because you don't have them in front of you and you may or may not see their faces on the camera. We do our best job to say, hey, love to see your face, love for you to put your camera on, let me see how you're doing. And a lot do, but a lot still don't. So again, that all leads to it maybe being difficult to cue modifications. So all in all, Are we the best at providing virtual programming? No. But again, it's just one of the things that we do amongst all the other activities that happen here. But we've really learned a lot. I look forward to us really even expanding that. In December, we launched a Lakeshore Online Fitness membership, which is an online only. It's a $15 membership. And right now, we really haven't, put it out there for a lot of promotion. We have mainly promoted that within our own membership because we know that we have some members, because of COVID, still not comfortable coming back into the building. So that's an option. We haven't had a lot. We've had maybe 12 people who have decided to do that because as we've opened up our in-person programs, a lot of our members they prefer to come here. They like the socialization. They like the support. They like that we still have a mask requirement, which will probably change sometime real soon. And they feel safe here. They feel like we have, done our best to practice the best, have the best practice in terms of COVID and continuing to offer programming while we, keeping masks and social distancing and all of that. So my goal was to try to be finished with this part in 15 minutes, and I just about hit it. So I'm going to be quiet and see if anybody has any comments or questions. So I stopped sharing.
I have a question. What have been the biggest issues that you've run into? You talked about music and licensing and that being one of the issues. What have been some of the other kind of insurmountable or seemingly insurmountable?
Well, not so much insurmountable. I think, okay, so it's, we have evolved in the classes that we offer. And even when we offer classes that we simultaneously offer here in person, we have found that we scale back a little bit because of the things that I mentioned about not being able to see people, not knowing whether they're sitting or standing. So whereas here we may have a total body conditioning class, which is a combination of, it's kind of like a silver sneakers class. It's a warm up, a little low impact aerobics. We don't do very complicated combinations, but we scale it back even more online because we try not to involve a lot of movement. So, the intensity has gone down a little bit, and the whole choreography, we've simplified it. So it's not insurmountable, it's just different. So that when we have found that some of our members that do our in-person classes, they might jump on, they might do a TBC class here, and then they'll jump on a TBC class online, and it's not what they're used to. It's a little different. And we're okay with that.
Do they have
Sure.
a favorite virtual class, Carol?
I'm sorry, what?
This Bridget, do they have a favorite virtual class or? do
You
they-
know, people love, they love seated yoga. They love our TBC class. They love balance. And we tried doing the Zumba thing for a while. And as soon as we opened up Zumba in person, that's, that Zumba group is, they're like a little cult, they want to be here. So they did not want to do it online. They want to be in the room with their friends. So we stopped doing that. So most of our classes based on our membership are majoritively done sitting with modifications giving, like if I teach a TBC, I started out standing and then going up and down. And now I tend to sit most of the time and give, because there are just a few members that choose to do it standing. So I give the modifications for standing, but I am sitting most of the time.
One question that's come in is, are you seeing your membership numbers coming back up since restrictions are lifting, or are membership numbers still down from pre-COVID?
They're still down. I think we're at about, the last numbers I saw the other day, we were at about 75% where we were 2 years ago. And, you know, we're in Alabama. So Alabama's famous for, you know, not liking mandates and requirements. So we have had the mask requirement. We are probably the only fitness people around that are doing that. And we discuss it quite often. And we have heard that a lot of our members will not come back until we lift the mask mandate, which will likely be soon based on what's going on in the country and the world. So it's coming back. It's coming back. We're in a very fortunate position in that we not only have this foundation, but we own this campus. And on this campus is a hospital that is run by Encompass Health. There are several other buildings that are leased out, and they all pay us a lot of rent. So about 5% of our revenue comes from membership dues. We have not only the rental fees coming in, but we also have an amazing development department with funding. So we have a lot of funding. And we also have a lot of investments that have, you know, been put in place for a long period of time. So luckily for us, we did not have to really put staff on leave or, you know, because we could continue to keep them on staff. Now, of course, when COVID happened, everything was like, oh, what are we going to do? You know, especially for the fitness department and the aquatics department. They everything they do is in person, or at least it was then. So, you know, we had to scamper a little bit, and we're lucky enough to be able to work on some of the research grants and, you know, all that.
That's excellent. Another question is, have you experienced any health emergencies during a virtual class? And if so, what procedures do you have in place? Well, you have a hospital on campus, so that certainly helps.
Well, yeah, but we don't know where they are. So, I mean, that's a tough, we have not. Luckily, we have not. So, and this has come up in our risk management practice, you know, meetings all the time. What is our responsibility? And that's why we, number one, prefer to have only members, because at least we know who they are. We have a little disclaimer, and, you know, about if they're feeling, you know, dizzy or whatever, we suggest that they don't do this alone in the home by themselves if they have someone else. And so far, so good. But, you know, there's really not any one way to respond to that. If we see something happening, we can, you know, if somebody goes down and they're by themselves, we think we know where they live, but we try to keep membership information as updated as possible. Maybe some of you have some suggestions for that. Something, you know, something you've put in place. I'd love to hear it.
I can't answer that, but I have another question. So
Okay.
if somebody else wants to jump in to answer that question, what are the educational backgrounds of your fitness trainers?
They all have a minimum of a bachelor's degree in exercise science, exercise phys, kinesiology, depending on what school. And they all hold national certifications in personal training, most from ACE, some from ACSM, and additional certifications. They all have the ACE Health Coach certification and the ACSM CIFT, which is Certified Inclusive Fitness certification. And just lots of experience in our world. Last time I tallied it up, I think between our staff, we had something about 120 years of combined experience in exercise programming, and they're really a great team. And we all know that there is not one program for someone because they have MS. There's not one program for someone with a spinal cord injury. And it is important that we continue to honor that and individualize things. And regularly, we meet often and say, okay, I've got this. What do you think about this? Do you have any suggestions? So they really work really well together to come up with adaptations, because, there's it's a lot of it is trial and error.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
One of our KT said, I hold a group video class for my veterans in Long Beach, and I run into issues with retention. I started with 15 to 20 regulars and am now down to 5, burnout by them and by me. What's your answer to that? What have you found to be successful?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the burnout by them, I think is often just what I hear, because sometimes people leave and we don't know why they left. But, some of it is likely because they need that community support, and they don't feel like they're getting that in a virtual class. For instructors, I'll be honest with you, I love to teach. I would teach classes all day long if I could. But when I have to go teach a virtual class, I have to really take a deep breath and get myself ready, because it's harder for me. It's harder because I never know exactly what I'm going to do. But when I've got people and faces in front of me, I can go with that. But not knowing exactly who's going to be in the class or how I may need to modify it, it is mentally challenging for me to do that, as is all of my staff. They're just, because they want so hard for it to be this amazing experience. And sometimes you finish class and go, I don't know if that was any good. So it's, just gotta keep doing it. And as you know, I love to talk. And so I say to my members, what do you want? Tell me what I can do to make this better for you.
I think that's key. I think one of the really negative side effects of isolation is we're all craving intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you can get in a class atmosphere, but it's really hard to make an intimate connection with people
Mm-hmm.
when you're in this kind of virtual environment. So finding a way to be able to have that kind of intimacy
Mm-hmm.
online, keep them engaged. I think that's key. Like you said, what is it that you want? What would bring you back?
Yeah. And occasionally we'll throw an incentive out there and say, if you attend so many classes and if you turn your camera on, you might get a t-shirt or a water bottle, or you'll be entered into a drawing for a gift certificate. That works too.
I love that idea. Yeah, we all need incentives. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Another question is, during virtual classes, are their mics muted or can they talk to each other? We tend to have to mute their mics, so we're just talking to ourselves without response.
Yeah. We ask them we may have their mics unmuted at the beginning. They typically mute during the class, and then we open it up at the end. So I've tried having their mics unmuted during class, and I haven't been able to figure out how to make that work.
A lot of dogs barking and people huffing and puffing, sure. Yeah, but I think it's very similar to this, right? So we get to listen to you and pay attention, and then we have an opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
interact. I mean, that definitely makes sense, but I understand how that can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
we have any other questions or other avenues for discussion? Well, we have Carol. I find this all incredibly fascinating as we kind of learn from each other how to navigate and what the future looks like. And I think if we do go back to all fully in person and masks are off and we're back to what we knew pre-COVID, do you think you'll still have an online wing that you'll maintain?
I do, because, you know, especially individuals with physical disability, transportation is always an issue. And some people just can't get here. And, you know, we're in Birmingham, Alabama. Not everybody lives in Birmingham, Alabama. And my vision is that we expand our program. And we really have, I think, you know, we have Lakeshore Online Fitness right now. And, you know, and I've said to my boss, she says, well, let's just open it up. And I said, no, we're not ready for that. We don't have enough. We need more quantity. We need more dedication to it because, you know, right now we're all doing it in between everything else we're doing all day long. And I think that if we're going to have a true, really a good quality optional virtual membership that somebody in California can do or wherever, it needs to be enhanced. So we are working on that, and as we learn and as we enhance our technology and our equipment so that we can build upon our on-demand library and have right now we have 9 virtual classes a week because that's really all we can fit in between all the other tasks all day long. But we need to have more. So if we need to have more dedicated staff, that is primarily their job.
That's amazing. Well, Carol, thank you so much. This has been really, really interesting. And I'm really thrilled to have learned so much about Lakeshore Foundation, and we're going to, you know, put the links up online so that people can check it out and find out more. And we'd love to have you back to talk to us again. And we'll have this video up on the website as well in the next week so that you can review it again and share it with other people in your clinic so they can learn more about Lakeshore Foundation and how to do online successfully.
And you know what? It's
Thank you
been a
so
challenge, but I
much. Really appreciate
I
your
wouldn't
time.
change it for anything. It's been a journey, and it's going to be great, and it is great.
That's good. It is. Yes,
Mhm.
it is. Awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.